Hello, good afternoon. This is Tammy Scott with GradLeaders, and welcome to our monthly webinar. Today we're going to talk about our new web-based check-in feature. If I have not spoken to you or you're not familiar, I am the VP of Customer Support, and I'll be managing this demo on my own kind of today, but I do have assistance from Ellie Ringler, who's Senior Customer Relationship Manager here as well. So we'll be your team here from GradLeaders to sort of guide you through the new web-based check-in feature. So I'm going to go ahead and just sort of dive right in. The formal title of our webinar today is utilizing the new web-based check-in to automatically track student attendance via computer or even mobile device. Just a quick overview of our agenda. We are going to do just a real quick recap of what check-in is. I know we have folks on the phone who have been using the check-in feature in GLCC since it was introduced a little over a year ago. This is just an enhancement to that. We're also going to talk about what's new. So what has changed from the legacy application-based check-in to our new web-based check-in. We'll do a quick demo. We'll also have some Q&A at the end and some reminders for things that are coming up. In relation to Q&A, if you do have any questions, please use the chat functionality in WebEx and send to all panelists. So again, if you have any questions or comments, please use chat functionality and send it to all panelists. Ellie is my wingman here today, and she'll be monitoring all of the questions that come in, but the only way she'll see them is if they are sent to all panelists. So make sure that you are doing that if you have any questions. Moving right along. So what is check-in? This is just a quick explanation of what check-in in general is used for. Check-in is, it allows you to automatically track student attendance. You can do this with a swipe card or RFID technology. You could also manually enter information to check someone in. This can be done on any computer or mobile device. Check-in is used for advising appointments, walk-in appointments, company events, visits, mock interviews, and workshops. Also, just wanted to mention, if you are not currently using the check-in functionality, then that is an additional add-on. We're happy to do a quick demo and get that added on to your feature list, but there is an additional charge. Also, any hardware that's used for check-in, such as a card reader or a printer for name tags, would not be actually included, but we will help you to know what to buy. And for those of you who aren't, here's some reasons that you might want to pay for this add-on, if you're not currently utilizing it. If you are currently using the application-based version, there is no additional charge for web-based. So this is just an additional enhancement on top of the already implemented check-in feature. So why check-in? It simplifies your attendance tracking for events. We have two different modes. We have activity tracking and kiosk mode. So activity tracking will be more for an event where everybody's checking into one single event. A kiosk mode is more for what you would use in the Career Center, so somebody could check in for multiple types of appointments. It tracks attendance at all events, including, like I mentioned, advising appointments, including walk-in appointments now, company events, visits, any workshops that you might have. You can automatically print name tags for attendees as they sign in. Our name tag template does include a name, major, and a class. You can also use the Dymo print software to add a logo to the name tag. You can utilize, as I explained here earlier, we have the optional kiosk mode feature to check into multiple appointments. So you can also now use it for office walk-ins if you choose. This is an option that you have. And then you can manually sign in students who forget their ID card using additional information for their profile. So what's new in web-based check-in? So what have we added? What's the enhancement? Well, first thing is that you can utilize check-in and your swipe card reader now via any browser. So if you're familiar with the old check-in feature, you had to download software onto the local computer. That is not required anymore. All you need is an internet connection. Admins can share that unique check-in URL. There's a URL that's created for every event appointment. And then they also use a global password to unlock the functionality on any device. If you are new to check-in, you will be asked to designate a password, or we will give you a password that you can use, and you can change it if you would like. So that's just part of the setup for check-in in general. Another thing that's new is it can be used for appointments and students that are already registered for, or walk-in appointments. So now you have a walk-in appointment feature within the Career Center for students that, that don't have a scheduled appointment. Students can check in using their student ID or other unique qualifiers, usernames, email, phone. There are actually some other options as well that we can review with you during setup. It's still just as secure as the legacy downloadable application. It has 90-second timeouts on screens, and kiosk mode can be locked at any time, and I'll demonstrate that here in a minute. And it can now be branded to your school or career center. So you'll see actually in the check-in screen, you can have your school logo. So now I'm going to do a quick demo of web-based check-in. Just bear with me here for a second while I change my screens. Okay, so first I'm just going to show you where you can find some check-in information. So if you go into the configuration menu, and of course some of your menus may not look exactly the same, but this is how we have it set up as our standard model. So if you go into configuration and down to the check-in screen, this, when it comes up, it will contain the latest information and links to helpful knowledge base articles that are also available related to check-in, and in this particular case, web-based check-in. If you look down here in the user guide section, there is a user guide, there's a kiosk mode web-based user guide. Another thing I think that's interesting, and this is somewhat new, is we have now broken out KB article just specifically to name tag printing. So if you're printing name tags, this section here gives information on the printer that you would purchase. We do not supply any hardware for check-in, just as a reminder. You would also click here on the software driver information there to download the Dymo software that's required to format and print the name tag. So once you've purchased that Dymo printer, label writer, then you can download the software that it requires. Setup and requirements, this hyperlink right here does take you right to a KB article that gives more additional information about how to print name tags. So as I explained earlier, you know, for anyone who's new to check-in, there are two modes. We have what we call activity mode, which is used for single events. And then we also have kiosk mode, which is used in the Career Center to check in for multiple events. Just to show you too, just more information and settings for check-in. You are able in the system to adjust your check-in settings. Some of them you can click on, actually just click right on configuration here. I'm going to hold on here for a second while we wait for our demo server to come up. There we go. And right here you'll see there's a check-in tab. Here you have a few options, including you can select your default address for your kiosk email notifications. So for example, if there is no advisor email address, then you would want to designate an email address for those notifications to go to. Typically, it would be like an admin in your Career Center. You are also able to enable or disable your check-in entities here. If you decided you don't want to do events anymore, you can uncheck that. And then down here, especially this is important if you are printing name tags, This is where you would go to download the standard name tag template onto the Dymo software. You can also customize that somewhat. You can move things around. You can take off certain fields if you'd like. Again, you know, you can save your custom templates here if you desire. So let's go in and we're going to actually demonstrate the check-in feature. So we're going to start with activity mode, and we're going to check in for an actual event. So I'm going to go here and find my event for today. Here we have our career fair for our check-in demo. There's all of the parameters that have been set up for this career fair. Also want to show you down here, we have a question now, automated attendance tracking to permit walk-ins for an event. In this case, we've decided, no, we're not going to permit any walk-ins for this event. You have to register. So just remember, you don't have to download anything. You just click Start Company Event. And it will bring up this pop-up screen. As it says here, you can use this following link to start the career fair demo event. You can click on this, and it will take you right into the software. Also remember that you will need a global password, as I mentioned earlier. That can be designated by the school, but whoever uses the check-in software will need the global password. So we'll just click on this. Now, if this was the first time that you use check-in on this device, then you would need to enter the password. But since it's already been done, you can just directly launch the activity. I'll show you what it would look like if I didn't already have it on here, or I hadn't already used it. You can click on this lock here to change the settings. This is going to show you that you do need to enter your password here. You do need to enter your password correctly. Ta-da. Okay, so these are the options that you're given in the settings. Here too is the school logo, as I mentioned earlier. If you wanted to close this screen, there's an X that appears up here, or you could always hit the escape button. So these are your options. These will look somewhat familiar, although the screen is different and new. You can, for an event, you can actually have them swipe in using the card reader or not. You can select what profile field to match. Here we have the options of username and email, but you can add others if you'd like. We're going to say username. You can decide if you want to actually have them enter a password, in which case they'd have to enter their password for the system, for the GLCC system. You can have them enter multiple fields of information. Right down here, we have the attendance count. So you'll see here as we go through, but as people check in, there's a number that appears in the top right, and it'll increment as more people check in. You can see what your total attendance is. Also, again, if you were using the name tag printers and you wanted to print name tags, you can enable that here. So we're going to go ahead and continue here. We're ready to start checking people in for the event. Okay, so this is the screen that you would see. As I mentioned earlier, up here where this 2 is, that shows you how many people have actually registered for the event. So let's enter a person's name. So as I mentioned earlier, we did not allow walk-ins. You had to register for this, and Will did not register. So Will gets a message saying, sorry, Will, you're not registered. So now we're ready for the next person. We're going to enter Ellie in here. Ellie did register. Good job, Ellie. And her attendance is now recorded. And that's really all there is to activity mode. Once it's set up, it pretty much just goes. So Let's go back, and there are automatic timings that are set to automatically go back to the screen, to reset to the screen. Those can be adjusted as well. Let's go back, and we're going to now demonstrate kiosk mode with web-based. All this and that. Okay. So to use kiosk mode, and again, your menus might be slightly different, but this is how we set it up initially in our standard model. So you would go to other activities, and you go down here to check-in kiosk. Again, you know, you may have to reset the settings, but in this case, we do not. We launch kiosk. Again, here is where you go to change your settings. First, you have to enter your password. Here are the settings in kiosk mode, so they look very familiar. Again, you have the option to swipe the card reader or not swipe the card reader. The profile fields, as I mentioned earlier, you can select multiple or one. You can require a password or not. We also have this new feature here to allow drop-in appointments. So you can either allow students to come in and set up an appointment through the check-in module. In other words, they're just walking in, or you can say, no, you cannot. So we're going to start out by demonstrating if it's disabled, what will happen. So if they can't just drop in. So let's do this. Or will here. Again, we'll get the message, we could not locate any signups for you on today's date. Waiting for the timeout. I think it's like 10 seconds. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to show what happens if drop-ins are enabled. So we're just going to go back here, enter our password again. Enable the drop-in here, click on continue. Let's try Ellie, or actually, let me try myself here. All right, so here's another new feature. You can see everything that they have an appointment for that day. So as you can see, already checked in for a couple of appointments today. Had a mock interview at 10 a.m. that I had already checked in for. I have another one, career fair at 1. And let's say now I am here at 3 o'clock I have a mock interview, and so I could check that off when I come in. If I want to do a drop-in, or if drop-in has been enabled and somebody who doesn't have an appointment comes in, then they're going to get this option to go here, and they can give the reason for their visit. Interviewing tips, for example. I click on next, and that list is customizable. They can pick their advisor. Let's say I want to meet with Bill. I click next. And there I am checked in to meet with Bill, and Bill will be notified. Oops. So that's really it. That is a demonstration of all the new features with web-based check-in. So let me click back over here and get back to our presentation. Okay, so now we're ready for questions and comments. Ellie.
So Holly was asking how much is the check-in add-on?
You know, Ellie and I are looking at each other like puzzled because I can't remember the exact amount, Holly, but we'll be happy to notify you and give you that information. So we'll email you. And anybody else who is interested, please let us know. We'll be happy to reach out.
Then Jennifer was asking, if if I don't see this option, it means our account does not include this possibility, and that would be correct, yes. So if you're logging into your admin account and you don't see any check-in options, that means that hasn't been configured, and it's probably not included with your in your agreement. But please do send us a ticket, and we'll get that process started for you. Kelly was asking, how do we set up event to allow walk-ins? And there is a question on each event, and if you don't see it again, please send in a ticket. We would be happy to add it for you. There should be a question that says allow walk-ins, and it's a yes or no option. Right. Is this available in CSO system? James is asking, and the answer is no. This is just for GLCC.
Although CSO does have a check-in feature. Yes.
Where do we see a list of students who have checked in specifically for kiosk mode? There's no way to see a list of students that have checked in for kiosk mode. But for the individual events, you can see them changing from not attended to attended. There's a little
on
green,
the sign up.
Yeah, on the sign up
tab. Yep.
Exactly. Can we adjust the wording of the check-in screen so at our school username is a net ID? Can we change that to net ID? So when they're signing up, they don't call username, but net ID. Can they change the wording instead of input username to input net ID?
Look into it.
We can look into this, Anna, and we'll get back to you on if you can change. I know you can have additional fields, but we're not sure about changing the username. When using the card reader option, would the student use their student ID? Yes, well, and it depends on what is on your card. So there is an option to have a field on the student profile that matches wherever is on your card. Usually it would be student ID. Is the CSO check-in feature web-based?
I think it is. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure that it is.
Pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
We'll double check, yeah. Also, can we demo the card swipe? Kelly's saying that theirs isn't working right. And it's hard for us to demo it because really it works the same way as putting in the username. Like you see the same screen, instead of typing in, you swipe it, and it doesn't have any extra screens. So the only thing you would see is really the screens changing. But Kelly, we can get in touch with you. If you want to type the name of your school into chat, I'll make sure that somebody will get in touch with you about the check-in.
Usually with card swipe, it's probably 99% of the time. It's just because the settings aren't set up correctly, and we can certainly help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. How do we change the branding of our check-in window, uploading logo and stuff? So if they want to change the check-in window, now that's possible.
Where does that come from, Minnie?
And it would be a ticket.
Is it just the school logo?
Yeah, they'll have to submit a request to.
Okay.
Yep, it would be.
Change.
It would be a ticket. So submit a ticket with a logo, and we can have that changed for you. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. If you guys have any more questions, please retype them. I'm trying to go back, but there was a slew of questions at the same time.
I guess the other thing, too, if you were not here at the very beginning, just because it's a little confusing in how you submit questions, please type them in the chat window, not the Q&A window. I know, like I said, I know that's really confusing. So we'll give you just another maybe 20 seconds if anybody has anything and missed that at the beginning of the webinar. Anything new, Ellie?
No more new questions.
Right, well, we'll assume then that we've got them all taken care of. Of course, I'm sorry?
One more question.
Okay, great.
We've already altered the timing of the You've Checked In screen to be shorter. Do we have to redo it now again for web-based?
No, it will be exactly the same from the application-based to web-based. We didn't change any of those settings.
Okay, that was so awesome.
Okay. All right, well, just a few reminders, you know, check out our support portal if you haven't already. It is constantly being updated, including, you know, we've added more information about our new feature with web-based check-in, best practices templates, and then, of course, you know, the KB or the knowledge base is always a great place to get written instructions. Here's just a display of the kind of things that you'll see there on the support portal. Also, just a reminder, we do have live chat. I know a lot of you are aware of it. We've been chatting quite a bit here through our busy season, but in case you're not, if you go into gradleaders.com/support, you can access live chat, and our support guys, Josh, Alex, Bob, and Nick are ready, willing, and able to help with any questions that you have. And also, just a reminder that we do have best practice webinars every month, the second Thursday of the month. We do not yet have our topic for October, but we're working on that, and we will send out announcements as soon as we have that all put together. All right, and if there's no more questions, then I think we're ready to conclude our best practice webinar today. Again, you know, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, support@gradleaders.com, and we will get right back to you. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.